Well, good afternoon, or should I say good evening to some of you. Good afternoon to others. My name is Linda Rigby, better known as Bella, better known as Bela Biz. Thank you, Facebook fans, and thank you, YouTubers, for joining us this evening. You are in for a treat. And let me just start out by saying, unless you live under a rock, we got Georgia on our mind. It is all eyes, and I do mean all eyes are on Georgia. We've been having just several weeks of festivities. We're going to get into some specifics, but I want to keep it light. You all know it's your girl Bella. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce a little pleasure for your listening ears, for you all who are creating dinner, having dinner, getting off work, sneaking while you're still on work, whatever. I thank you because I counted on joy that you would just take the time to have an hour with us, but you're in for a treat. Without further ado, let me introduce to some people know him. It's the infamous K-Rav. K-Rav, take it away. Wow. Now let me help some of you people out because if you didn't get the inner ear, he just played Georgia, Georgia on my mind. Thank you so much, K Rav, better known as Carrie Rivers. Carrie Rivers is the owner and CEO of Standard Magazine. His purpose is to help others perceive themselves better and promote the betterment of mankind through what he calls the four barriers of salvation. And they are: one, mental salvation; two, spiritual salvation; three, financial salvation; and four, physical salvation. Thank you so very much, Mr. Carrie Rivers, for giving us that opening. Now, everybody sit tight. Carrie's going to stick around for a little bit. He's got some questions as I introduce the topic of the hour. So as I said, we got Georgia on our mind, and I am proud to present two outstanding women that I may say so myself. I'm going to go into it right now in the protocol. So we first have Miss Tracy Atkinson, who is the past president of the League of Women Voters. Tracy is known for her work as a community leader and advocate. By trade, she is an award-winning project and asset manager at the Atlanta, that's right, the Atlanta infamous Hartsfield Atlanta Airport. Tracy made history being elected as the first, I said the first, African-American president of the League of Women Voters of Georgia. That's right. We'll talk about that as well. With 12 local leagues statewide and 600 members strong, the league works tirelessly to empower voters and protect our democracy. They do this by registering clients and citizens to vote, to host candidate and issue forms, as well as creating an online voter guide to assist citizens in preparing their ballot choices for elections. The League is a non-partisan organization, meaning they do not, or we do not, oppose or support any candidates or parties. Let me say it again. We are non-partisan. We do not support the Democrats, the Republicans, the Libertarians, or the in-between, all right? We just make sure that, and you'll hear a lot about tonight, we make sure you get the right information. Tracy's been working in the League for a very, very long time, and she does a lot by advocating for voters, and she works against issues ranging from healthcare to education and to voting rights, and we'll really peel that back tonight and talk about it within this hour. Tracy has been a member of the League of Women Voters for over 18 years. I'm going to take the opportunity to say publicly, thank you, Tracy, because she's sure enough bugged me for a long time, and that's why I'm here. Thank you, Tracy Atkinson. Now, here's the build-up. Drum roll, please. I am very proud, and I mean very proud, to be working under this woman. Her tutelage is, it's impeccable. Now I want everyone to introduce themselves to the brand new current president of the League of Women Voters of Georgia, Susanna Scott. Susanna Scott is the president of the League. She takes care of us very well. She's a native of Georgia and was raised in a politically active family that regularly, I said regularly, discuss policies, public policies, local government at the dinner table. So this is like no stranger. She grew up in politics, okay? She's a graduate of Mount Hoare College, and Susanna has a Juris Doctorate from Georgia State University College of Law and a Master's of Law from Trinity College, Dublin. Her master thesis explored the development of the right to vote in England and the U.S. She's heavy, y'all. She'll figure this out in a minute. Susanna firmly believes in the League's vision of a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. So, Facebook family and YouTube family, my personal family and friends, without further ado, we're going to drop some myths, unlock some chains. I want you to meet the League of Women Voters of Georgia, Susanna and Tracy. Hey, ladies. How you doing?
Hello.
So happy to be here.
Yes, thank you, Bella, for having us on.
Well, thank you so very much. Listen, I'm going to get this cookie party started, okay? We got a male here, and so Carrie is very interested. And let me let the audience know. Everyone knows I'm a part of the League. It's not about Linda, not about Bella Knight. It's about letting you all know what we are all about. So Carrie said, I want to hang around, Bella. I want to see really what y'all about. So Carrie has a few questions. I'm going to have him to kick off, and I'm going to take the time to say, audience, please, instead of talking amongst yourself, text us, type in, what are your questions? What are your comments? We are here to address them. This is going to be a very interactive hour. So please, as we're talking, put it out there. So Carrie, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you, young ladies. Thank you so much for allowing me to stick around for a second. I have two questions. First one, we all know that's what's been going on out in, I guess, in the world today, borderline civil wars, and we have a lot going on from pandemics to, a lot of things happening. So as a Black male, Black adult male being able to vote, how effective or how necessary is my vote here currently right now for this election?
Your vote is incredibly important. And I mean, Tracy and Linda have heard me say this a lot, but if we want to have an effect on the political process, then we all have to show up and vote, and we need to be involved in the process. And the fundamental way you do that is voting. I mean, you can get involved in other layers, but if you don't show up on election day and cast your ballot, then your voice isn't heard. So right. Especially as a Black man, I think it's very important that you show up and cast that ballot. Because it does make a difference. The more of any group that shows up and votes, the more politicians have to listen to that demographic's voice.
Okay.
And Carrie, the more and more as of late that we are getting polarized, we're literally almost split down the middle in America. And we're seeing more elections come down to a quote unquote razor thin margin difference in votes. 14,000. That was it 14,000 or 11,000 that separates this presidential election from November 3rd. And up in Gwinnett County, wasn't it 400 votes, Susanna? Yeah.
I think so.
So, and I think in Virginia it was one vote.
Mm-hmm.
One vote. So every vote matters. Every vote counts. But I heard an African American gentleman himself tell us that he was, at one point in his life, militant, and considered himself militant, and I'm not going to get involved in the political process. And once he realized how much those elected officials touch his life, every aspect of his life, he said, oh no, I'm not going to sit back and let other people that don't think like me or understand my needs or wants decide for me what I get.
And I'm going to take that as a moment just to point out that we all keep hearing about the 2 Senate races that are on tomorrow's ballot, but there's also a public service commissioner race on tomorrow's ballot that everyone in the state can vote for. And if you want to talk about having impact on your daily life, public service commissioner, they set the rates. Like, they help determine how much you pay for your utilities. So that's like super important. And we hearing a lot about the Senate, but public service commissioner is super important too.
Okay.
And
well, you guys have answered that question for me very thoroughly. I truly appreciate that. And you guys are the epitome of what works. I love the diversity. I love the approach. I love how you guys are really working together to ensure that every vote counts and every voice is heard. I know this is a league of women voters, and you guys are standing up for the young ladies, for all cultures. But do you guys accept men, a part of your group?
we do. We happily accept men. We are an outgrowth of the women's suffrage movement, but our guiding principle is that we want all voters to feel empowered to vote and participate in politics. And so, yes, we are the children of the suffrage movement, but we want men to join us as well as women. We are here to educate and empower all voters.
Okay.
I was going to say, we fight for everybody.
Yep.
No matter your race, color, creed, background, and no matter your party. Hello.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Well, listen, you guys have been great. Those are the 2 questions that I have. And also, you will be hearing from Standard Magazine, as Bella said, that we are here to give the voice to the people as well. We're an entrepreneur magazine that want to make sure that everyone, just like you guys fight, we want to make sure that every voice is heard, every image is correctively or in a corrective manner and appropriately presented. And so I want to appreciate you guys on what you're doing and how you stand and keep standing, keep fighting. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone tell you different. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much, Bella, for this platform. You're doing great.
You're absolutely welcome. And let me just put my shameless plug. And now you can really put your money where your mouth is if you like. We do take donations. And so we'll talk about that as well. But Carrie, we appreciate you. We thank you. Thank you for the intro. May God bless you. And you have a great evening.
All right.
Thank you for that beautiful music. That was great.
So audience, so we're talking about Georgia on our mind. And yes, it is. So ladies, I mean, we've got a range of things to talk about. Who wants to top off anything first?
I'll jump in and just say, we've had over 3 million people vote here in Georgia for tomorrow's election, early voting and absentee voting, which is amazing. I think that breaks the record for runoff election voting, so yay for Georgia. Thank you to everyone who has been doing the get out the vote push. But if you haven't voted yet, or if you have your absentee ballot and you haven't gotten it into your local board of election, it's not too late. You have until 7 p.m. tomorrow to make your voting plan. So real quick, go on to the Secretary of State's website, mvp.sos.ga.gov. It's a great way to check your status. Just make sure you're registered, and you can find out where your polling location is, and then make your plan tonight. Either you're going to drop off your absentee ballot, which you can do up until 7 o'clock at any drop box in your county, or you're going to go in person to your local polling place. Just make sure you're going to the right place so you don't waste your own valuable time going to the wrong place. And make sure you know who you're voting for. You can go to vote411.org to get all the information about voting and the candidates who are in all of these elections, so that you figure out which candidate is best for you, who represents you and is going to do what you want them to do in office.
Thank you, Susanna. I'm going to jump in because I had several questions prior to this recording, and I'm going to pose them to Tracy. People ask me a lot, Tracy, and I try to be real simplified. Really, what is, now, Susanna touched a little bit on how we came to inception, but I'm going to slow it down a little bit. My audience knows how I work, ladies. Peel back the onion a little bit. Tracy, here's a typical question. What is the League of Women Voters? Who are y'all, and what do y'all do?
So, great question. And Susanna mentioned that we were birthed out of the women's rights movement, the suffrage movement. They organized, they mobilized like we're doing today, and they fought for that right, for the 19th Amendment to get passed. Once it was ratified, then they said, well, we got it. Now what do we do with it? So it became an organization centered around education and then advocacy. So a lot of women did not know how to vote. They were kept from voting and knowing anything about it. So register, how do you register to vote? What do you need? And this is exactly what we're doing still today, 100 years later. And we'll continue hopefully for 100 more. So the movement to get the right became the movement to educate, and the movement to continue to advocate for additional issues that impact women and then people in general, because we all know that women are the backbone of society. So if we're happy and healthy and have what we need and our families need, then our families will be happy and healthy and whole. So all the issues that we fight for touch everybody. It's not just for women, as we shared with KREV. So it's the League of Women Voters, and we actually have looked at changing that name to appeal to everyone, but that's our name. But it's just the name. What we do is for everyone.
Thank you. Susanna, I got loads of questions, so here we go. So Susanna, with the League of Women Voters, I often get asked, well, are you guys like a national organization? Are you local? You got 2 people, 20,000 people? How's it driven? Are you all across the states? Are y'all diverse, men, women, young, old? Take that question, Susanna.
All right. Well, kind of like government in America, we got 3 layers. We've got our local leagues, just like we have local, county, and city government. And they really focus on the things that affect our communities. So, if you are in the League of Women Voters of Atlanta Fulton, they're really making sure that they're keeping an eye on what's happening in Atlanta Fulton. Same thing for DeKalb County, Cobb, Marietta Cobb. Those local leagues are looking at what affects their community and doing the voter drives in their neighborhood and that sort of thing. Then we have the state levels, and we've got leagues across the country. And they are more focusing on what's happening down at their state legislatures and providing support to the local leagues. So we're, here at the State League of Women Voters of Georgia, we are really focused on the bigger picture around the state. We can get into the weeds a little bit with the local leagues, but the local leagues are there to drive community issues. And then we have our national league that's based in DC, and they're working with Congress. We've got advocates down there, lobbyists down there, pushing, advocating for issues that matter to all Americans, but they also are a wonderful support to the state leagues. I can't say enough about League of Women Voters of the U.S. and how much they help us function and operate to our best capabilities. So yeah, we're at all 3 levels around the country. We've got leagues in every state.
That's good information. I'm sorry, Sue. That's great information. I'm going to touch on a personal question. It's going to be general. Susanna and Tracy. Tracy touched on it. You know, women, God knows, we do a lot. You know, we're referred to as the backbone. We're referred as the helpmeet. We prefer it as the we're behind our men, beside our men. You know, we're the backbone. I want us to dialogue a little bit about, as the questions come in, how do you ladies feel about the role of women in general? Just how we're leading in government, how we're leading in politics. So I know some women, I don't want to get all caught up in the weeds about politics. We know it's the very fabric of our lives, but talk a little bit about what you've been saying over the last 10, 20 years as far as women leading in governments.
Well, we have not had equal representation at all levels of government right off the bat. And I think that makes a difference when, just like I told K-Rev, if you're not represented, then the issues that matter to you aren't going to be addressed. I mean, we have a pink tax in this country because men have been running government for centuries now. And it's just now in the last 10 years that people have been talking about what a pink tax is and why that's not fair, why that disadvantages women. But there's so many other issues that, affect women that if you're not a woman, you don't even, doesn't cross your mind. Why would you think about that? So you have to have representation from all different types of demographics. And especially women, because we make up actually slightly more than half of the population. So why are we only, 20, 25, 30% represented in all levels of government? Doesn't make sense.
It does not. Tracy, what's your opinion on that?
While I love the trail that women are blazing every day, in not just in government, but in politics and in corporate, I kind of feel some kind of way that we're still shattering glass, shattering the glass ceilings. But we're doing it, chipping away at that glass ceiling as we can. But we need more. We need more women to run for office at all levels: city councils, commissioners, state government, and all the way up to Congress. We need more women in government because, as Susanna said, we're 50% of the population. We need to have 50% of people at the table making the decisions.
That's great. That's great. I know here in Georgia, we know from being a part of the league, stats matter, right? And so the fact that we're on the eve of the most important, and I know people run that in a whole, it is very, as a matter of fact, it's not contrary. This election tomorrow, January 5th, is the most important election in our century that we know of, right? And so we know things like there were over 23,000 young, right, participants, 17 years and a half old, eligible to register to vote, right? We know a lot of demographics and stats of a lot of people of color, right? Brown, Black people of color, large margins. We know that there's 159 counties in the state of Georgia, right? And so let's talk a little bit about in dialogue as people chime in with questions and comments. This has been an unprecedented election. And thank you, Susanna, because we sometimes tend to forget, not only we have the U.S. Senate election coming up, we also have the Public Service Commission, which is equally, if not more important. Let's talk a little bit about, because we're Georgians. We live here. Susanna knows I'm not from Georgia, nor is Tracy, but it's important. We've been here well over 15 years, so we are a Georgia peach. And let's dialogue a little bit about just what these last months has been as far as tirelessly working and trying to get people out the information just to vote. Let's dialogue a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, in terms of new voters, I haven't seen all of the data yet for tomorrow's election. But I do know going into the November 3rd, about 2/3 of the new voters, the people that were registered and voted for the first time for November 3rd, 2/3 of them were people of color. So that really changes the demographics when you think about that. And in a way that makes Georgia's voters more reflective of the diversity of Georgia. Georgia is diversifying. We see it in DeKalb, we see it in Fulton, we see it in Gwinnett now. Gainesville or in Hall County is getting more diverse. And the electorate is starting to reflect that, which is amazing. And I want to say about voters under 35 years of age increased by 22% in this last election, which is amazing because it means young voters who are really the ones who are going to be impacted for longer about decisions made at the PSC and at in Congress. Like, theoretically, they're going to live a lot longer than we are. They're going to live with the results of this election longer than we are, and they're engaged. They're showing up at the polls, and that's amazing. So yeah, and I'm going to let Tracy pick up from there. If you have something.
Sure. I think we might have went a little bit away from your question, but we have some more stats to share with your listeners if you like, Bella.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so gender-wise, according to NBC News Online, 57% of women voted for Biden, and 45% men voted for Biden. 42% of women voted for Trump, and 55% men voted for Trump.
Wow.
Here's a wower. 91% of Black women voted for Biden.
Wow.
Now, this is according to, LA Times News. And 80% of Black men voted for Biden. 55% of white women voted for Trump, and 43% for Biden. Interesting, right?
Very, very. What do you think about that, Susanna? Those are very interesting numbers.
I mean, when you look at how those numbers break out, especially here in Georgia, you can see why Georgia flipped. When it's just more women show up to vote, I think women have felt, generally speaking, that the Democratic Party is more responsive to their needs right now, which is not to say that they are, but I think that is a perception, and that is borne out in how women across the board voted in this presidential election. And you definitely see that African Americans more than whites felt like the Biden ticket was going to work harder for them or advance their interests more. And when we talk about the changing demographics of Georgia, the fact that those votes broke the way they did really does help explain why there was that flip here in Georgia.
I also heard a very prominent person on the news give another stat that wowed me. There's still 100 million people eligible to register to vote. So the League of Women Voters still has their work cut out for them.
That's across the board, Tracy?
Yes,
Wow.
across the United States. That we want every one of those 100 million to register, that are eligible to register and in their state and vote.
That's great. Now, that's a great segue. Audience, stay with us, okay? Because I'm going somewhere. I'm always going somewhere. So with that said, Tracy, I want to talk a little bit about other organizations, because this is real talk. Like, I just had a dialogue with my own daughter. You all know Ashley last night. She's a millennium. And we were talking about the engagement of her generation. And we were talking about the When We All Vote, which we happen to be a national partner and a state partner with, had a concert. right? Last night. They had a very nice concert that was obviously initiated by yours truly, Michelle Obama. And it was quite a few different talent, right? From Atlanta, some of these people, some of these rap artists that my daughter keeps me up on, Young Jeezy. They had Monica, they had Rick Ross, I believe, a couple other people who I'm like, okay, I got to look them up and Google them. But my point of the matter is, Ashley and I were dialoguing, and she was like, Mom, it was really cool. And I noticed how Michelle Obama, I want us to talk about this, zoomed in on the younger demographics. Because a lot of can I just go there? I'm not old, but some of my constituents in my age group, well, why they got to have that bump and grind, that kind of music? And I thought immediately, you know what? I said, I like what When We All Vote did, because they targeted young demographics. It was just a concert as a build-up, but they had a lot of young people, obviously, because they knew these were their artists, right, in the genre of music. So let's talk a little about that. I like the way Michelle's my point. Drew in the young people. And up until yesterday, Tracy and Susanna, I'm going to be transparent. I don't know if we all as a group collectively really zoomed in specifically to that young demographic. So let's talk about partnerships and the youth.
That's been a hard nut to crack for most organizations, especially older, more traditional organizations that may be doing a lot of things the same way, or afraid to think outside of the box or do things differently. And with the millennial generation, like Ashley, they're on a different level than we were at their age, and different things to motivate them. That celebrity endorsement really reaches the millennial generation, and implores them to, get engaged in the political process. And we have to reach them however we can. We got to meet them wherever they're at. And that goes for other genres of people. You have to meet them where they are and appeal to them with what they know and understand and identify with best.
That's good. Susanna?
Yeah, I agree. Like, we want all demographics to be represented, and that youth demographic is huge for one. And for another, like I said before, like, they're going to be living with the consequences of these elections for a lot longer than I am. So they really do need to be keyed in and figuring out how to make these elections relatable to them, and how to make them understand the impact that the election has on them, and the impact that they can have on the election is really critical. So I applaud anyone who, the groups that have been getting youth voters out to the polls need to be commended. And I mean, some of our partners here in Georgia have worked hard on that. And I mean, kudos to them, because it's not easy. As Tracy said, it is not easy, but we need them. We need to hear their voices. We need their fresh ideas. We need their energy. And we need to understand what matters to them, because, what matters to them is what's going to be powering us through the next 10, 15 years.
I was going to say, they are our future.
They definitely are. Now, I know a lot that the audience doesn't know, and I want you to kick this off, Susanna. We have a lot of programs. And again, we're nonpartisan, and people just do not have any clue. And I try to speak about it. Susanna, talk a little bit about just educating our audience tonight of some of the projects and programs that we help promote to our constituents and to our audience out there.
So there's obviously the voter registration, and we're big on that. But we're also, we work closely with election administration and election protection to make sure that we are fulfilling our mission. And our mission, I love our mission, is empowering voters and defending democracy. And so, a lot of what we do is, focused on that, especially right now. So most of the meetings I'm in that aren't work related are election protection, election administration meetings. But then outside of that, we're also working on a people-powered Fair Maps campaign, which is a national League of Women Voters of the U.S. program that all 50 states and the District of Columbia are partnering in to really address redistricting reform. Gerrymandering is a problem throughout the country. And just quick on gerrymandering, it's when you manipulate districts so that you have outsized control in the political process. So we are focusing really hard on trying to make sure that we have redistricting reform here in Georgia. And because we don't have ballot initiatives here, that means we need to get our legislators on board. We need them to understand why we really need our districts to reflect one person, one vote. So that's a big one for us right now. We also work with the New American Project, registering new American citizens, which is amazing. When we're not in a pandemic lockdown, our volunteers and volunteers from our partner organizations go down to new citizenship ceremonies, which are amazing, and register new citizens. So we get to see the ceremonies, and then we get to enable these new citizens to participate in a fundamental aspect of democracy, which is voting. So we get them ready to go from the moment they take their oath of naturalization. So those are a couple of the really big things that we're working on and are excited about.
Thanks. That's really my most favorite one, the New American Project. And here I go, very simplistic, peeling the layer of the onion back. So Susanna, do we actually go out and set up booths and, do actual physical voter registration? Do we do that?
We have done that. And actually, even now, some of our local leagues are doing that in a safe manner. Make sure they have PPE. But I know that we've got leagues around the state that are going out and setting up booths and helping people to get registered to vote. I actually did that with my local league on September 24th, which is National Voter Registration Day. Went and set up tables outside of the local library, right next to the ballot drop box, and answered questions and passed out registration forms. So it can be as simple as that. I know we also went down to the Bronner Brothers show back in February before we had a lockdown, and we're registering voters down there. So we do it big and small. When we are able to do the naturalization ceremonies, like they've got a room set up for us where we can, the new citizens come in and we process them there. So we can do it really small, just like, somebody with a card table and a chair that they set up, or we can have much more involved. Sort of depends on what the situation requires.
Right. Tracy, I think I heard something. Let's see what I know a little bit about the league. We do something like candidate forum. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yes, we actually do candidate and issue forums. And so the league is very busy. We want to make sure that you know who you want to go vote for, the candidate, the candidate's name, what they stand for, and what they plan to do if they should win. So we have, when we're not in a pandemic, candidate forums in person where you can come and listen to the candidate yourself. But we also have an online voter guide because everyone can't, even regardless of the pandemic, everyone can't come to candidate forums. So we also have an online voter guide that Susanna mentioned that anyone can log in and see and choose. You can actually put together your ballot on vote411.org and print it and take it with you to vote. So you don't have to try to memorize 19 candidates that you want.
So let me stop. I'm going to my Bella persona. So, I want the audience to hear that. Like, Tracy, are you saying I can go on the app, vote411.org, put my information in there and see ahead of time before I go to even vote and educate myself before I go vote?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Wow.
And we ask questions so that we don't want to be slanted. We're not trying to lead the candidates in any way, shape, or form, but we try to ask questions that we think are relevant to Georgia voters and let them answer in their own words so that you can decide, this is the candidate that represents my values, or is going to do what I think is right, and that's the one I want to vote for. We don't tell people how to vote.
And this is really important. I mean, it's important all the time, every election, but it's really important in the primaries when you're choosing within your party who you want to be the candidate representing the party. So you may, within the, if you're Republican or Democrat, whichever in your party, you may have 8 people, 17 people running for the same office. Only one of them is going to be on the ticket against their counterpart. And so you want to hear from all of those candidates what their background is, what their education is, what their ideas are, and what experience they have so you can decide who would be the best person for the job.
And to follow up on that, in terms of primaries, in some counties in Georgia, that primary ballot is the one that decides who's going to actually be the only candidate running in November. DeKalb County, we currently have no Republicans in office. So that Democratic ballot, that primary, that's when they decide who my CEO is going to be, who is my tax commissioner, who is my state senator. So, but there are counties and other counties where it's that way for Republicans. Like if you want to have a say in your local, political process, you're going to have to vote the Republican ticket if you want a final say, because there's not going to be any opposition in November. So just be aware of where you live and what the politics are in your neighborhood, so that it's always important to vote in the primaries, but sometimes it's even more important because there's just not going to be a contested election in November.
Absolutely.
Bella, while we're in this moment, let me just say the league strongly, and other organizations and anybody strongly recommends, encourages, implores you to vote down ballot. Vote down the ballot. Don't just go and vote for the president and turn in your card and you're done. Please, as you can see, the CEO of your county, the commissioners, they're making decisions on the taxes that you pay, the schools that come to your area, the businesses that come to your area, when your roads get repaired, things that affect your every single day. So it is equally as important. It is equally as important to voting for our president as it is all the way down the ballot.
And I'm going to take a shameless plug. Audience, Tracy did not say it any better, nor Susanna, even myself. I'm going to be transparent. Sometimes you got to be transparent to really get the truth, right? So several years ago, I'm talking about over 20 years ago, I've been voting since I was 18. I kid you not. And I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. And my little quick background is my mother, back in the day, I can remember when I was 9 or 10 years old, I am dating myself, when I would go to the polls with my mother, and we had the black curtains, and the black curtains would go around us, and it was the cha-ching ching, and I would watch my mother pull those levers to vote, right? And she dedicated her whole life to it. I'm saying that for a reason. Fast forward, 18, voted. Fast forward, I go to college, I voted, but I was doing the exact same thing that Tracy is saying don't do. I would just be like, primary, okay, president, okay, all the people in between, whatever. I didn't even vote them. So we're just talking how important it is, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, to get ahead of the game. We've got so much technology today where you can, whether it's vote411.org or any piece of information, you can Google it, for God's sakes, in your county, state where you live at. It's important that you educate yourself ahead of time. Know the people, know the candidates early and what they stand for. Because as Tracy and Susanna says, if you do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, oh my God, I cringe. But I have to admit, I did an eeny, meeny, miny, mo until I learned and understood the importance of voting. And if you don't vote in between the top and the bottom, come on, ladies, chime in. Let's not do that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's really not do that.
And this is where civics education is really important, because if you don't know, if no one ever tells you, you can't know. So, it would be great to have a really strong civics education in our school systems, but they've got a lot going on. I understand that they've got a lot that they have to cover, but we really need to find a way for people to understand how government works at that basic level so that they can make those informed decisions.
Even with elections, we got the general election, primary election, runoff elections, special elections. We even have recall.
Yeah.
And that happened just a couple of years ago, Susanna, in Lithonia, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the mayor. That is very, it's important. And
Remember that.
I'm going to borrow this from another guest that you had. Voting is a lifestyle. It's not a one and done every 4 years or 2 years. You have to show up for all of these because, again, it affects your everyday life. It impacts so many areas of your life. We cannot we could have gone on for another 30 minutes and everything that your elected officials impact in your life. And they're there to represent you. You elect them to go to that body and represent you in those votes. So you have the right and the privilege to call them, write them, email them, and say, on this issue that you're getting ready to vote on, I want you to vote this way.
And I will say, we send out action alerts. Other organizations send out action alerts when our legislature's in session or when the county commission's about to meet or your city government's about to meet. Pay attention to those action alerts because people don't actually reach out to their legislative, or their elected officials very often. It's a shockingly low number. And so when people actually take the time to call, email, write, that registers. Elected officials pay attention to that. And so if you get an action alert and you feel strongly about whatever that action alert is about, really, it's serious. Take it seriously, make that call or send that email because they're going to pay attention. And if we all do that, it's really going to impact them and make them realize people are watching this. And if they think people are watching this, that means to them, if I don't represent my community the way they want me to represent them, I could have a challenge at the next primary. So let me pay attention, and then we have to do our job. If they don't actually represent us the way we want, then we have to find a candidate who's qualified. The league's not going to do that for you, but you as a citizen can either step up yourself or find someone who is going to be more representative and then help them get them elected if you think that they are going to be more responsive than your current elected official. So, but you have to be part of that process all along. It's not just on election day.
That's awesome. And, I'm just here to filter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to call you all out. Once again, the League of Women Voters of Georgia, we are not a partisan organization. We are grassroots. We are nonpartisan. We simply try to help you to navigate the facts, know your rights, what's going on at the time. We support certain issues and guidelines based on what national helps us to decide on. We decide on as an organization. I want to be real clear on that. We do not condone or advocate the Black Lives Matter. For example, I am an African-American woman, but I don't advocate them or condone them. I just simply, as a league, we put the information out there as available. I want to be real clear because right now there's a lot of slinging going on, and I'm going to take this platform to say, not in this jurisdiction, right? Because we're one of many organizations. There's a lot of nonprofit grassroots organizations, which I want to get the ladies to talk a little bit about. We couldn't do all this information work without the support of hundreds. I can't even begin to count them all, Suzanne and Tracy. I know about 40 of them. There are hundreds of nonprofits that I honestly want to talk about that's just sprung up over the last year. And I'm going to make a comment and want you guys to take off a couple of things because people are starting to comment. I was talking to, here we go, Ashley. You guys know we're very close and we have a yin and yang relationship. And she said, Mom, guess what I got today? She got in the mail, audience, a very nice package. I wish I took a picture of it I think it was Black Women Vote. And it was another civic organization that joined up and they sent her a care package. It had a mask. It had some sex. I wish she would chime in, but she was telling me she saw the advertisement a week ago. She went online and said, hey, I want one. She got it today. It was a mask, t-shirt, all this wonderful information about the organization. And I said, wow, Ashley, I'm going to share that tonight because we have to think out the box. We're being innovative. And we know there's funding out there for our organizations to help support, because we're trying to help the audience. We're trying to help you. Yep. We're citizens too. We want to simply get it to let you understand. Very simplicity. Get out and vote. Be informed. You all follow me. Stay woke. Stay informed. So I want us to talk about this. I was very pleasantly surprised. I said, hey, Ashley, sign me up. I want one, right? Because this is right. This is 2021, for God's sake. We got to start doing things a little differently to attract people. But I thought that was interesting. Had y'all heard anything about that before?
That particular care package, no. But I mean, I know that our partner organizations, like, Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda, Common Cause, All Voting is Local, Black Voters Matter, Muslim Voter Project. I mean, there's lots of organizations out there that are super involved right now in line warming, which is not illegal.
Right.
So making sure, if you don't have a mask and you're in line and you're a little bit worried, we can give you a mask. But if someone's walking by while they're giving out masks, and they don't plan on voting, don't care to vote, well, if they want a mask, they get a mask. So that's why. So there are lots of organizations out there making sure that there's PPE, that if there's a long line on voting day, that you've got water available. Some people even buy pizza. And it's available to if you're in line or not. So that's why it's not illegal, because we're not bribing people for their votes. We're just making
say that again, Susanna.
Yeah,
so questions are starting to come in. I didn't mean to cut you off, Susanna. I know we got some time. So Ashley has a question. There we go, Ashley. Is the League of Women Voters able to partner with other grassroots organizations, ladies?
The League loves partnerships. We love collaborations. We're here for it. We live for it. We partner with organizations like the AKAs, the Deltas, in addition to the 20 or so organizations that Susanna named, because there's power in numbers, for one, and it's all of our community. So as long as you are a nonpartisan organization, because we don't want to partner with an organization that's going to endorse someone later and it appear like, oh, people remember that. They go, the League of Women Voters partnered with them, so that means that they endorse such and such, So we are picky, Ashley, about partnering and collaborating with organizations, depending on what we're doing. But we look at the potential partnership through that lens. Is the organization nonpartisan? And do they refrain from endorsing candidates? And from there, we're open. If they want to put on the same type of program that we're putting on, that's more power.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Now, Ashley put something out because I'm gonna investigate it. Put that back up, Eve. Eve is my lovely tech behind the scenes, and Ashley says the box she got was called party@themailbox.com, ladies. Okay, party@themailbox.com. Okay.
More partners did party at the polls. So I wonder, I don't know, but maybe it's associated, or maybe it's just such a great idea that multiple organizations are doing it.
Yeah, that's thank you, Ash. That's good information. I know we got Demetrius, and she's one of our leaguers. We have a term. It's called in the league, right? And Demetrius, thank you for chiming in. Demetrius saying power vote. That's what we're talking about. I mean, hey, Tracy said it. Y'all know I'm getting ready to get round up and get ready to walk around the studio. Hey, voting is a lifestyle. It really is, because it does go beyond this U.S. election tomorrow. We've got midterm. We got so much going on. So please, while we've got a few minutes, we've still got some time, about 5 to 8 minutes. Come on in. I'm telling you, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm giving everybody the opportunity to dispel some myths who's online and just ask us any question. No question is a dumb question. Just ask it. But yeah, this is important. Like, how you guys feel about the Eve tomorrow? I mean, it's like, I don't know about you two, but I feel like I'm actually in the history books. I mean, our eyes on Georgia,
Yes.
Tracy.
I think this was the most money that's ever been spent in a pair of senatorial elections. So there's that. I don't know about you guys, but my mailbox is filled with. I actually complained the other day, not about the fact that I was getting so much mail, but that I got one piece of mail from another organization that told me I was an above average voter and then informed me how to vote. And I'm like, if I'm an above average voter, why do I need to be told how to vote?
You got that?
Wow.
I got that too.
I didn't get that.
I think I was getting that daily, as was my mother who lives with me. So we were both being told, you're a great voter. Here, let me tell you how to vote. So I welcome the fact that we are getting so many people passionate about getting out the vote. I just didn't need the reminder on how to vote.
Wow.
But if you do need a reminder on how to vote, vote411.org has all of the information. So.
And you may want to take your chair with you, your lawn chair with you, and take your own snacks just in case there aren't line warmers there. And because you may be in line, it's quite possible. We've improved significantly, I think, from 2016 and even 2018. But just be prepared. You'd rather be prepared.
Yeah.
And take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people with you. Take your family members with you. Call them. Hey, did you vote yet? I'm ready to call my nieces after we get off of here. And my nephew, did you vote yet? Do you need a ride? Get there. Get it done. I'll take you. We took my aunt with us. So me and my husband. It was a family affair.
Well, you know what? I didn't mean to interrupt you, Susanna, because I know you're ready to go. We got about 8 minutes, and I want to suck up every 8 minutes. I want us to give tips. Because I think I'm going to speak for myself. I know a little bit about my ladies. I voted early. I voted December 14th. And you're right, Ashley. I'm sorry. You're right, Tracy. Voting is a lifestyle because Ashley and I'm proud to say, I only have one daughter. She's my rock. We always vote together. It's a family thing. It's just the 2 of us. Now she's married to 3 of us, but include her husband. Shout out to Tony Buller. Hey, Tony, son-in-law. But it's important. Family, we always vote together. And let's talk about some tips, since I think Susanna, you voted early too. Am I right? You and Mom?
We voted absentee because my mother is, in that age group where we don't want her being exposed to COVID. So we voted absentee. We got our absentee ballot in the mail, and I dropped it off at Fire Station 19.
Really?
Yep. So we've been touring the different drop boxes around this county here in DeKalb. But yeah, there's multiple ways. And my family too. I remember my parents taking us with them to vote at Gresham Park Elementary back when I was a kid. So it's just the thing you do. And if you make it a tradition with your family, I think it sticks with you. My brothers both vote. They take their kids with them to vote. And it's a wonderful tradition, and teach them early.
Yeah. I say teach them early. I mean, again, shout out to B-More, Baltimore. I have voted all my life with family, and I've learned Tracy has definitely helped coach me. We do so many things together outside the league that sometimes I have to be sensitive, Susanna, to my mind that the things and the way I did things, other people don't. And so I kind of automatically assume I'm getting better with that. But we've always voted early. My family, we always, as a family unit, because in Baltimore, we have a rich history there, and we knew all the public officials. I mean, Perrin Mitchell was a big deal back in the day. Julian Bond, I remember I was telling Michael Julian Bond, council member who was here earlier this week, hey, I knew his dad. He came to Baltimore all the time. I saw Julian Bond growing up. So
did I. My dad was seatmates with him in the state Senate.
Isn't that a small world? I am telling you.
Daddy said he was the smartest man he ever met.
Yes, and I'm telling you, and I'm just throwing some things out. I mean, I'm bragging. Yes, I am, because I'm proud. My family put that in me, right, Suzanne and Tracy? I mean, my God, Kwai Sam Fu-Meng, who was once the NAACP president, who was once had the seat. I know my history, right? Before the elections, Congress, John Lewis. I knew these people in Baltimore because my family made it our business as a family. Get to know your public officials. You don't have to get into the dirty weeds. You don't have to get out there and actually become one, but get involved. I mean, I think we're bringing those dates back, right, Tracy Susan? Getting involved, having the political officials come into the neighborhoods, knocking on the doors. Hey, did you vote? And I know we got a lot of nice things because I'm getting excited. Y'all know how Bella is. We've got information out there about if people don't know how to drive and can drive. There's organizations, right, ladies, that can partner. They can get you out there. You know, like Tracy said, get with friends, get with family. I know sometimes it's hard, it's COVID-19 environment that you want to not knock on your neighbor's door, but there's so many different information from so many different organizations. There's no excuse whatsoever. Get out and vote. I think we had about over 17 million registered, and we're just throwing numbers out. They're just numbers, ladies and gentlemen, as best we can. And we had about 3 million to vote early, right, ladies? So we have a lot of people who need to vote tomorrow, and it's very important. And I'm going to take a minute, and I'm going to stay back. I got Gwen McClendon. Shout out to Gwen. Gwen lives in LA, in California. I love my mother, Gwen, and her team, and a lot of people I know have been so entrenched, Tracy and Susanna, in our trajectory, right? I mean, it's been crazy. Like Gwen has been on it, asking me questions every day, commenting. I love it. Shout out, Gwen. I mean, this thing is real, y'all. I mean, it's just, what can we say?
I would say if you need any information, go to our website. We put a lot of information out on our Facebook page. LWV vote411.org has great information and will link you directly to the Secretary of State's website in whatever state you're in. This is not just for Georgia. You can follow us on our Facebook page and Instagram. We're putting out real-time information that you can use to help, like rides to the polls and so forth and so on.
One other thing I want to say is, hopefully there won't be long lines, but if there are, follow Tracy's advice, just be prepared for them. I don't think it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but bring an umbrella just to be safe. But also keep in mind, your poll workers, they show up at the polls at 6 a.m. and they stay until they are done. So if there are problems with the voting machines and they have to stay open past 7 o'clock, which sometimes happens, like, technical glitches, power outages, that sort of thing. So there are sometimes they don't close until 1 o'clock in the morning. So they're there from 6 a.m. to sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So try and have some patience with them. They are doing, they are part of that backbone of democracy. We can't have elections without our poll workers. But if you have problems for whatever reason, also know about our election protection hotline, which is 866-OUR-VOTE. And I never can remember what those numbers are, but OURVOTE, 866-OUR-VOTE. So if you do have any problems, call that number. We've got experts, election experts on the line, ready to help you. If there is a problem and they need to force your polling place to stay open late because they didn't get the machines up and running until 11 o'clock, they will file a suit to get the hours lengthened. If they're not following election law, they will work to make sure that you get the chance to vote. So if you have any problems, give them a call and they can walk you through how to resolve that problem so that your voice is heard and your ballot can be cast and counted.
Tracy, your closing comments before I close out?
That 866-OUR-VOTE is very important. Thank you, Susanna. We wanted to get that in. If you have any problems at your polling place, call it. It's 866-687-8682.
Again,
those are attorneys who can they can help you if you need an answer on the spot, or they may end up filing a motion in court that will help that will force that polling place to stay open later if they didn't open on time or if there's some type of problem, so that people who may have came and had to leave because they had to go to work can have a chance to come back and cast their vote when they get off. It's 866 our vote. Thank you so much for putting that on the screen. And that is very important. If you have any issues, if you see any issues, you can call and report it.
Thank you. Susanna, before I close out, any last comments?
Just, we welcome new members. So if you liked what you hear about what we're doing, we love volunteers. We love members. You can come to our Facebook page, our website, lwv.org. LWVGA.org, and to join us. And, we are here again to empower voters and defend democracy. And thank you, Bella, for letting us talk tonight about elections.
Well, I'm going to close out, so I want everyone to hear me, and I mean hear the clarion call. So here we go. Gwen, I love Gwen. Gwen brought up some very candid points, because we talk and dialogue all the time, and this is some of the tips I want to leave. There's a lot of people who vote. Me, myself, I voted early. And so Gwen is hitting on something I'm going to do. After this election, no matter how it turns out, I'm going to bring back Susanna. I'm going to bring back Tracy. I'm going to bring back Michael Julian Bond, councilman. I'm going to bring back Ed Beth. I'm going to bring back all those who calendar will permit them, so we can have a round table. Because to Gwen's point, we're right. Gwen is saying we need to have systems created, right? We need to have think tanks, because we know this work is never, ever, ever, ever done. And we are voting, and we're making boss moves, as we say, for our children, for our children's children. So I want y'all to hold that thought. I'm gonna hold the public to it too. Another tip I want to bring into the fact that Gwen put out there. I voted early, and so Gwen from California, who was a very much activist herself, Mother Queen, was saying, for those of us who voted, if we have the time, take the time, right? Go to the polls. We're not advocating. Take somebody some coffee. Take somebody some snacks. I'm going to say, Susanna, it's going to be a lot of long lines tomorrow.
I think so too.
Right?
When that is a family tradition in the Scott family, we take to munchkins and coffee to our poll workers. So I love that it's happening around the country.
Yes. So, I take that charge, Gwen. Gwen is saying, hey, for those of us who voted early, come on, help a brother, sister, neighbor out, encourage them. And I appreciate that, Gwen. We're going to do that, because I'm going to tell you my experience. I'm in Fulton County, right? You guys know I moved from Cobb County. Mm-hmm. Ashley and I got there early on the first day of early voting. And I mean, we got up at 5 a.m. It's a tradition. Hey, make some fun with it. Those other people know me. I'm up early anyway, right?
Yes, you are.
But to the point, we got up early, made a day. It was like an adventure, right? You get up, you get yourself together, get your snacks. And so we always, Polly, Ashley and I, are we going to be number 1 or number 2? Well, we were number 14 and number 15 on the first day. Okay. But my point is this. Here's a tip. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sensitive. Please, if you see elderly people, right, in line, they don't necessarily know their rights. If you're 75 years age or older, I wish they pushed the time age back, but the sign clearly says 75 years of age can jump the line. Hello. Can go in front of the line, and they can go in and vote, because we don't want our seniors out there, right?
Right.
So, hey, take a chair out there or a bench or whatever. I just know it's very hard for me. And my daughter knows me very much. And she goes, okay, there's my mom going again over there minding her business, because they were behind us. It was 3 82-year-old women behind us. They didn't know Tracy and Susanna. And I heard the conversation. Yeah, I'm nosy with intention. They were like, oh, it's getting cold here. And I said, ma'am, let me take you to the front of the line. What? I said, you can go in and vote. Really? Yes, ma'am. So let's be courteous. I mean, chivalry's not dead. No is integrity. No is just being empathetic to your neighbor. I mean, my God, people, if you see someone elderly, help them in front of the line. It won't kill you, right? But there are signs, and I'm going to tell you something, because we know we're legal in votes. That sign, Tracy and Susanna, was all the way on the opposite side, unfortunately, where nobody could see it.
Well, it's at the front door, which if the line is 100 people deep, you're not going to see it till you're at the front door. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, Gwen, you're there. Gwen's like, we must care for each other. Let's take it back to like, okay, history of time. Hello. I don't think we have to teach that to anybody, Gwen. I'm with you all the way. Let's be kind to one another, right?
Amen.
Tracy, any thoughts and comments?
No, you said it all. You said it perfectly.
And also, I didn't leave out the handicap. For those who are handicapped, Suzanne and Tracy, we noticed too, if you're handicapped, you also are enabled and entitled to get in front of the line and go in early. And that involves your care provider. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you got someone that's a care provider with you, that includes you, the handicapped person, and the person who's providing care for you. So, we just want to give you all tips. We do have a great forecast tomorrow. We're hoping for no rain. I mean, I'm saying make fun of it. Just get a good night's rest. So if you're going to party hardy, whatever, just get up early and expect. It won't be in and out. And for those people who are working, I don't have to say this, but I will say my shameless plug. You are entitled in the state of Georgia to 2 hours. 2 hours.
Yep.
For those workforce people, know your rights. You have 2 hours to take time off to go cash your ballot. So I think I was done with all the tips. I want to make sure I covered everything as far as
off-peak hours. Off-peak hours. If you are concerned, try to go not first thing in the morning or at lunchtime or right after work. Find those off-peak hours. Some counties, not all, but some counties do post the wait times for their polling locations. So check your county to see if it happens to have a wait list or a wait time list. But otherwise, if you're worried about long lines or if you're hearing reports of long lines, try to go, at 10 or 11 or 2 o'clock to try and skip the worst of it.
And again, even if you put that number, Tracy made it very important. We cannot drill it enough into some people. I'm just being an advocate. I'm not negative. I'm a realistic. People are going to have problems. So audience, please write the number down. Write the number down so you know your rights so you can get some assistance. It's very, very important because tomorrow it matters. It matters a lot.
If you are running behind, Bella, I want to share this. If you make it to that line by 7 o'clock, they will let you in to vote. They have to. Okay.
They're supposed to mark at 7 o'clock. They shut off the line, but if you're there,
make sure you make it there by 7 o'clock so that you can vote.
Do not sit in your car until 7 o'clock.
Right.
Get it.
Which happened. Someone told me this happened at their polling place. But no, don't sit in your car. Get into that line by 7. It's not good enough to be in the parking lot.
That's good. And I'm just, these are just, as we close out because we care. The League of Women Voters, honestly, we like to say we own the yard for those who understand me. We just want you to be informed because I know for a fact going through my mind, a lot of things happen. And because Georgia is so unique and we have 159 counties, trust me, you guys got to be on top of it. What's done in Fulton County is not done in DeKalb. Or it's not done in Paulding. Or it's not done in Henry County. So you got to really know what your hours are because you guys know I moved from Cal to Fulton, and Fulton opened, Tracy and Suzanne, at 8:30. When I was in Cobb, but I checked, I was able to go vote at 7 a.m. So these little details mean a whole lot as you plan your day.
I think Fulton opens at 7, but they stay open till 8 at night. Is that
early
correct?
Voting started late. Early voting hours weren't the same as day of.
Early voting hours weren't the same. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, I got one more thing. If you know that you are registered to vote, but you get there and they cannot find your name in the poll book, you can request a provisional ballot. Thank you. You can request and should go ahead and vote a provisional ballot. If you do, make sure that you follow up and go to the local board of elections. A lot of times it's just an ID issue or an address issue, whatever the issue is, you have to go to that board of election and clear it up. 3 days or by the Friday after the election?
Yeah. So don't wait past noon on Friday, but, And there's a different, also, just as long as we're tossing out these little things.
Sure, absolutely.
If for some reason the printers are down or the scanner is down, the printers are down, they might give you a paper ballot. Because if they can't print your ballot on, then you can't vote. So in those instances, they will give you a paper ballot, which is this almost identical to a provisional ballot, except that if the scanner is working, they need to scan. You take it and scan it in. A provisional ballot is held aside until you can cure it. But an emergency ballot, which is done because there's some sort of a technical malfunction, that should be scanned in right away if possible. If there's a power outage or the scanner's broken, it won't be, but it doesn't go into the cure pile. It goes into the emergency ballot pile and gets scanned as soon as possible. So just be aware they look the same, but there's a different depending on. And if you have any questions, that vote for the 866 our vote number is a great place to call if you are not sure what they're doing or why they're doing it. They can help sort it out, either give you a clear explanation or help you know what to do to make sure that your vote gets counted.
That's good. Thank you, Susan. I'm gonna do a shameless plug out. I gotta keep shouting out to my Cali people, because y'all know my other lives are doing production. I'm always in California, so I gotta do my due, right? I mean, shout out to Gwen. I really appreciate Gwen and her tribe. I mean, Gwen just summed up who we are and what we really try to represent. Gwen says great information. An informed voter is an empowered voter. You are absolutely right, Gwen, because we gotta keep people informed, and that's what the League of Women Voters, on behalf of Susanna and Tracy and myself, we're proud to do. Just getting out simple information. It's not a heavy lift. It's not a hard brain, ladies and gentlemen. It's just simple information, and we're always available for you. Thank you for that, Gwen. I mean, Gwen has really been champion, and it just it blew my mind. Other states, even my tribe in Baltimore. I mean, everybody was engaged. It's like Georgia, y'all know y'all want me to start singing Georgia, right?
Yep.
Everybody's got their mind on Georgia. I mean, this is a big deal. We're history in the making, ladies.
Yeah, we're getting calls and emails from other states wanting to know how they can help support. So all eyes are on Georgia.
Yep.
So I know we went a little bit over time. I mean, I don't even want to get off. I mean, it's a little bit after 8. I just really hope that this was informative. I know there's power in the replay. For those who joined us live, we thank you so very much. As Tracy and Susanna, the current president and the past president, and shameless plug, the new executive director incoming with the League of Voters, we are excited. We are proud. We are intentionally sincere about what we say and do. This is a lifeline. This is not a movement. Although we say movement, this is our lives. And we know that our 4 sisters, our white, brown, color sisters, everybody fought advocates, abolitionists back in the day in the 1800s. We would not be here. And I'm very sincere. Y'all know me. We would not be here today if it wasn't for the struggle long time ago. So we're not talking about white, black, green, gray. We're talking about human race, humankind. Please take this information. I implore you, utilize it. Get yourself ready. Get out and vote. And let's see how Georgia turns out. And we'll see if we're going to go from red to blue. We don't know. Anybody got any predictions?
I think it's going to be close. That's my prediction.
Tracy?
No predictions.
I have none either. So on behalf of the BelaBiz platform, the whole team, K-Red, Eve in the background, y'all see her the next go around engineering. I thank you all. I hope you have a great evening. Hey, vote 411.org for those who haven't voted. Get on there and see what's going on. And let me say this. If you see information, you go like, doggone it, it's either nothing in there or doggone it's wrong. You got some work to do, okay? The information is only as valuable as it goes in there. So go on there, .411.org, right? Vote 411.org. See what's in there. Remember, it's information in, information out. Get yourself ready. We thank you so very much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Susanna, for taking the helm. Thank you, Tracy, for passing the mantle. Thank you all. And as I say, it's your girl, Bella, always about a biz. Y'all have a great evening. Good night.
Good night.